Hello, this is Dawn. Welcome to your astrology check-in for October 13th through the 20th. So, what we are really looking at this week is Venus. Venus has some very strong connections that she's making, especially with the outer planets. So, what I want to do is show you, and I'm going to bring up Astro Gold technology so you can see as things are moving in the chart what's going on with Venus and why she is especially important this week. So let me go ahead and share my screen, and I will go to the entire screen. And before I do that, yes, that's perfect. Okay, great. And here we are. So on this screen, we do have, I'm taking a look at October 11th, which is actually Saturday. And the reason I'm doing that is because we do have Venus just would have had an opposition with Saturn. Now, what I want to say about this, I'm actually going to go back a couple hours here so you can actually see a little bit better what I'm talking about. There we go. And we'll go back a couple hours till we get to like 26. Ta-da. Okay, we're getting there. Okay, so, and where is Venus and Saturn? 2659. Okay, I think I got it exactly. So Venus is at 2659 in Virgo, and we do have Saturn at 2659 in Pisces. Now, the important thing to remember is 6 months ago, in March and April, she started her retrograde in the Aries degrees and went back into Pisces. So it was in a very emotional time, really confusing because Neptune and Saturn were in Pisces. So whatever may have been going on then has certainly come back. So whatever problems you were working through, if it was regarding work or whether it was regarding personal relationships, especially with women, then that has come back and is being revisited now. And the universe is giving you a chance to do a do-over really from that energy back then, because now instead of Venus being in a very emotional place, in that Aries energy where she is opposite her home of Libra, one of her homes, and also the energy of Pisces, she is exalted in Pisces, and she did meet up with Neptune and Saturn and the North Node and Mercury, all in Pisces then. I think she was getting a lot of amazing downloads. So what's happening now? Venus being opposite that energy, starting with Saturn, she'll actually be opposing other things not so much opposing, but making aspects to other things once she moves into Libra this coming week. So what happens here? She is in Virgo. She is going to be going into Libra, but while she's in Virgo is when she is making this opposition to Saturn. Now, when Venus is in Virgo, she looks at things with a much more critical eye. She's not caught up in all of her feelings that she was way back in March and April. She's stepped back. She's more in the observer mode. She can actually see maybe why things went wrong and maybe what a new plan is for making things go a little bit better this time. So that is the start of what's going on here for this particular day. So the other thing that's coming up, while she is still in Virgo energy, let me change this back to day. Okay, good. She is going to actually be hitting the 29-degree mark of the eclipse that just happened in Virgo, roughly about 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, basically. And this is the energy of starting brand new. What is a plan that she can have going forward now that she sees why the old one didn't work, why now she's having to revisit the things that she had going on back in March and April. So again, a wonderful time for her to take this energy and really say, okay, this is definitely a do-over. This is how I'm making my plan. She is in Virgo, right? She is able to make a good plan. And she's still in that Saturn opposition. She's still in the energy of that. She is moving on from it, but Saturn is still in retrograde. So what happens then as we move forward? And this is interesting because she does enter. I'm trying to think of what time it will be. It's at 5:18 on Monday afternoon is when Venus enters Libra. So she is in that energy on the 13th in the afternoon. And then later on that day, she is in an opposition with Neptune. And Neptune is in Aries. Now, she did, for the very first time in our lifetime, join up with Neptune in Aries last spring. So now, again, she is having an opportunity to see more of her own truth. She has entered her own sign. So and she's at 0 degrees, the very beginning degree of Libra. So this is the quintessential Venus coming back into her own power. And she is looking at Neptune and maybe seeing through the things that were blocking her before, things that were very unclear that now have been shown to be different than what she expected. Is I think the best way to say that. So what is the other interesting energy that we get? Besides her being opposite Neptune, we do have, after she's opposite Neptune, we do have Pluto stationing direct. Now, it's very interesting, even though Pluto is stationing direct, Pluto has been barely moving. I think during the month of October, someone pointed out that Pluto only moves about 4 minutes during the entire month. So it is digging in to that 1 degree area of the chart in Aquarius. So she is then going to be moving into a trine. But the first thing that she does is she is in a lovely trine with Uranus in Neptune. And this is going to create a grand air trine. I like this energy because when she does trine with Uranus, it will be retrograde. And when she officially trines with Pluto, Pluto is direct. So I do think that we're going to have some unexpected events coming out, but it is part of a grand air trine. So I think there's going to be better communication. I really like that Sedna is also at 1 degree, and she's at 140, and then Pluto is at 122. So we do have this energy of Sedna is also part of this energy that's going on here. So it's very nice that Venus is talking to Sedna because I want to remind you back in July, and this is one of those amazing things of the astrology that's going on. Back on July 4th, Venus was conjunct Uranus at the very last degree of Taurus, 2959. And then Venus entered Gemini. And then Uranus entered Gemini on the 7th, on 7/7 portal, right? So it entered on 7/7, and then Venus was actually just past Sedna, and Uranus was at 0 degrees. So Sedna was at 1 degree at that time, and they were all in this conjunction. And the same exact thing is going to be happening again this coming April. Venus will have made it all the way around. She will meet Uranus again at the very last degree of her sign of Taurus before she moves into Gemini and is at 2 degrees again when Uranus steps back. I believe it's April 25th, 26th. and Sedna is there again. So for me, this very strongly is saying that the energy that Uranus is going to be bringing in for the next 7 years is in this area of Gemini and in this communication piece. Divine Feminine is saying, just so you know, we're going to be a big part of this. We are going to definitely be involved in this, between Venus and Sedna, both being very, very important at the very entrance, both times when Uranus enters Gemini. So I wanted you to be aware of that, because that's going to be happening again next spring. And I just found it mind-boggling that such an exact thing would occur again when Uranus is going to be changing our lives so thoroughly, when it is in Gemini and is trining Pluto for the next 2 years. And the first trine is going to be occurring in July at 4 degrees. As a matter of fact, Neptune and Pluto and Uranus will all be at 4 degrees in July, mid-July. So you have all of this energy that's going to be happening. And Venus is very much going to be a part of it. So Venus is really, the past 2 years has been very interesting in the fact that she's one of the things that we define definitely as feminine in astrology, just as the moon is defined as feminine. But she's very much speaking with a lot of these outer asteroid goddesses or planets. Some of them are actually planets. And Sedna, being in the age of coming back every 11,400 years, has not been in this area of the chart since 9,000 BC. And she actually will be at her closest to us in 2076, when she is in Cancer. And she is the Inuit goddess of the deep ocean. So I find that very fascinating, that she's going to be, that she has made her announcement and has been coming in, and she's very involved with Venus and Uranus during this time. I really think that she also signifies the fact that we are going to be having a lot of ancient technologies rediscovered and brought back in to our current times, and us being able to utilize those, whether it's new ways of energy, new ways of connecting with each other. And I think people realize that we're getting much more empathic with each other. So when you think of all these different changes that are coming about, Venus is playing a very large role in that. And she will be in that grand air trine this coming week. I believe that it is, yes, it's on the 14th of, which is a Tuesday, which she actually does trine both of them exactly. They're only about, let's see, one is at 9 in the morning. That's the trine with Uranus. And at 6:45, or actually 7:45 Eastern time in PM, we do have a trine to Pluto. So basically you're talking 9 hours apart that she will. So that's how close that air trine is going to be. So looking at the other things that are going on, we do have Venus sextile Juno, and we also have the sun is going to be opposite Chiron on Friday. And let me just move forward in that energy. So you can see as things move forward here that we're talking, this is that grand air trine I was talking about, right? Boom, boom, boom. Very nice energy. And on that day, the sun is at 22 degrees. And we are going to be getting the energy in a couple more days. Don't forget that during this time, we will have a Jupiter square to this Libra sun. And I think that's an important thing to realize, that there may be some issues regarding justice that are coming out. We do have an opposition to Chiron and Eris at that same time. So, and Eris is very much about, she wants fairness. So there could be some things that are happening because that would make this is going to create a T square in these signs. So that would be 23 degrees, 24 degrees, 24 degrees. Yeah, and 24. So, oops, sorry. One more day here. Okay. 24, 24, 24. And Jupiter is still direct at this point. So that's very interesting energy. So it's going to be, it could really raise our emotional level at that time. Jupiter in Cancer can be emotional, and it will have the trigger of this Eris Chiron energy here, and that is on October 17th. So that's a day that I would be more cautious, I would say, because um, it's the cardinal signs that are being affected, and cardinal signs can be more about the world stage. So it might not be affecting you personally. I do have, my sun is at 25 degrees Cancer, so I'm kind of wondering what this is going to mean for me. But um, it's always good to know when that day comes up. Okay, what should I be watching for, and what intentions have I set to make this work out in the best possible way for me? Like, am I listening to other people? Am I being fair with other people? Am I willing to, maybe hear something that may sometimes hurt my feelings? And that's a possibility. So I think, look where you have those particular degrees in your chart. I think the same goes for that lovely Venus air trine, where you have the things in the early degrees of all of the air signs as beneficial to you. So that would really be something that you can work with. Now, we do have, let me go another day forward here. What I will say we do have coming up is Mars is going to be trining the North Node on Saturday, and Venus is going to be in an opposition to Ceres on that day. And that will be at 6 degrees of um, Aries and 6 degrees of Libra. Now, again, you have to remember Venus is in her home sign, and she is going to be fair, and she wants to have both sides listened to. So I think that's important, that because of the grand air trine, I think that's telling us that we need to listen to other people's opinions. And I think that's very important. We do have coming up, and I want to say that in the following week after this, then it's Mercury's turn. Mercury is very, very busy following in this next week, because it will be going into its shadow, and it will have some other energies going on. So this week is all about Venus, and also about, I would say, this Chiron and Eris water trine going on. So pay attention to that. And then next week, I'm sorry, that's the T square I was talking about. But the week after that, we do have Mercury involved with a grand water trine with Mars, in talking with Saturn and Jupiter. So that'll be the week following. So I wanted to give you the energy of this really being an important time. Let me go ahead and stop sharing. For us to take advantage of the energies, here we go. For us to take advantage of the energies of Venus, and being open to communication. I would be a little bit more hesitant on the 17th, because we do have that T square, and people can be overly emotional on that day, and can be triggered very easily, because Chiron and Eris are a part of that grand T square. So be very aware of that. I do recommend that you listen to Molly McCord. She did a beautiful summary of the energies that are going on, because what is happening with this Venus is we are clearing out all old karmic relationships and moving forward. And now we're moving into the relationships with people and our tribe that we connect with, who get us. And this is going to be going on for the next 6 months, and actually a little bit longer. So I would say really look at the energies that are going on in your chart right now and see how best you can surf this energy, especially with intentions. We do have a new moon coming up in Libra. We will be doing intention setting for the Libra new moon, which is a great time to set intentions for your future relationships and also set boundaries. You left those old relationships for a reason. So learn that lesson and turn that into a more positive time for you to have relationships in the future. So thank you for watching. I'm so glad I got to talk to you, and I hope you enjoy this lovely week coming up.